Hi, dear friends. Let's get acquainted. Write in the comments where you are watching me from. I read all the comments and respond to the interesting ones. Breaking news that's shaking the foundations of Eastern European geopolitics. A high-ranking Russian diplomat just dropped a diplomatic bombshell that could reshape the entire regional security landscape. What's at stake? Nothing less than the future of both the northern Black Sea region and the Baltic states. Here's what just happened. Russia's deputy foreign minister made a statement that's sending shockwaves through diplomatic circles. Moscow is now directly linking the de-escalation in the territory of instability to NATO's military presence in the Baltic states. Simply put, Russia wants NATO forces out of Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia before considering any changes in their military operation. Why should this matter to you? Because this diplomatic chess move could affect everything from your savings to national security. Think about it. When major powers start redrawing their red lines, the ripple effects touch everyone's lives. First, this isn't just about the politically turbulent region anymore. Russia is officially viewing this conflict through the lens of its broader confrontation with NATO. This marks a significant shift in diplomatic strategy. Second, the timing is crucial. While Washington debates the future of American military presence in Europe, Moscow makes this bold move. Coincidence? Hardly. What makes this particularly intriguing is that it's the first time Russia has explicitly connected their operations in the former Soviet Republic with NATO's Baltic presence. This isn't just diplomatic talk, it's a potential game-changer for European security architecture. But here's what you really need to understand. This could affect everything from currency rates to defense policies across entire nations. And that's just the beginning. Stay with me as we dive deeper into what this means for average citizens and why this statement might become a turning point in regional history. Next, we'll analyze the true causes of this confrontation and how the Western alliance's position has influenced the situation. Think about this. Are we witnessing a carefully calculated move in a greater geopolitical game? Or is there more to this story? Let's find out together. Let's delve deeper into this complex diplomatic situation that continues to reshape our world. In the remaining segments, we'll explore how NATO's expansion policies created a domino effect of consequences, examine the specific demands Moscow is now putting forward, and analyze what these developments mean for global stability. The question remains, are we witnessing the beginning of a new diplomatic era, or the continuation of historical patterns? Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov's recent statement on the Baltic State portal LRT marks a significant moment in Russian diplomatic communications. His explanation of the factors leading to the military operation in the country at a crossroads reflects Moscow's consistent position regarding NATO expansion. As the official responsible for negotiations, Ryabkov's words carry particular weight in understanding Russia's strategic perspective. The historical context here is crucial. Following the Soviet Union's dissolution, NATO's military infrastructure gradually approached Russian borders, despite earlier Western assurances about limiting expansion eastward. This systematic advance created what Moscow perceived as an increasingly precarious security situation along its western frontier. Subscribe now. My full investigation with never-seen sources drops soon, and this segment could vanish without notice. The Kremlin's current stance echoes concerns voiced long before the operation in the northern Black Sea region began. Russia's fundamental demand for NATO to return to its 1997 boundaries would require a complete withdrawal of forces from Baltic states and Eastern European countries that joined after that date. This position reflects deep-seated security concerns about military infrastructure approaching Russian borders. Share your thoughts in the comments. What historical events from the past 30 years do you think most influenced Russia's current security demands? Your perspective on these pivotal moments could help us all better understand today's challenges. In today's analysis, we're examining a significant diplomatic development that echoes previous strategic positions in Eastern European relations. Moscow's recent statements mirror earlier diplomatic initiatives, particularly those preceding the current military activities. What makes this moment noteworthy is the consistency in Russia's foreign policy approach. The Kremlin continues to emphasize security guarantees and regional stability as cornerstone requirements, showing continuity in its strategic objectives. This position emerges against a backdrop of increasing NATO military presence along Russia's western borders. The alliance's expanding footprint in Poland and the Baltic states raises concerns in Moscow, with substantial troop deployments altering the region's security architecture. Some analysts interpret these diplomatic signals as a potential opening for negotiations. However, the proposed conditions present challenges. The request for NATO to reduce its military presence questions the sovereign decisions of independent states. The Baltic perspective is crucial. Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania voluntarily joined NATO, and decisions about military presence involve their national security interests. The alliance's deployment of multinational battalions followed the events of 2014, marking a strategic shift in regional security. The core question remains: can Russia's security concerns be reconciled with NATO's commitment to its eastern members? This balancing act becomes complex as military capabilities build up along both sides of this new European divide. Looking ahead, the diplomatic chess game in Eastern Europe shows no signs of simplifying. Each move prompts careful recalculation of regional security equations. The challenge lies in finding common ground between Russia's desire for security guarantees and NATO's commitment to its members. Comment. Fellow viewers, particularly those understanding Russia's perspective, what solutions do you envision for maintaining regional stability while addressing security concerns of all parties? Your analysis helps build a more complete picture of this situation. The military operation in the northern Black Sea region continues to shape diplomatic discourse, particularly regarding NATO's presence in the Baltic states. Recent statements from Russian diplomats have brought this issue into focus, suggesting links between regional military dynamics and NATO's Baltic presence. Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov's comments have stirred significant discussion in diplomatic circles. His careful wording, avoiding specific references to Baltic nations, has prompted various interpretations from regional stakeholders. Latvian Ambassador Maris Rikstins provided analysis of Russia's diplomatic messaging. NATO's presence in the Baltic region reflects a strategic posture. Since early 2022, the alliance has strengthened its position there, based on analysis of geopolitical risks and security requirements. The military configuration represents NATO's approach to collective defense in areas where geopolitical interests intersect. The Baltic states, at the frontier of competing influences, see their security as linked to European stability. Their location makes them sensitive to shifts in the regional military balance. This explains why changes to NATO's presence could reshape power dynamics across Eastern Europe. This situation reflects broader historical patterns. The current military presence stems from years of strategic planning and defense agreements. It's about maintaining stability through balanced deterrence. We're seeing a crucial intersection of diplomatic rhetoric and military positioning. The careful wording from Russian and Baltic officials shows awareness of how statements impact regional tensions. As observers, we must consider: does foreign military presence enhance stability or create tensions? How can diplomatic channels better address security concerns while reducing regional anxieties? Your perspective is valuable, especially from those familiar with the region's history. What solutions might help balance security interests with reduced tensions in the Baltic region? Let's hear your experience. How has the changing security landscape affected your understanding of regional stability? Your insights help comprehend this complex situation. In today's analysis, we'll examine a significant diplomatic exchange that highlights the evolving dynamics of European security architecture. Latvia's position reflects a broader Baltic perspective on regional security. Arrangements. Let's start with Moscow's latest diplomatic move: a statement regarding NATO forces in the Baltic states. This declaration, calling for NATO withdrawal from the region, has prompted swift responses from Baltic officials. Moscow can dream whatever it wants, but reality is different, stated a senior Baltic diplomat on social platform X. We've been full-fledged NATO members for over 2 decades, and this is unchangeable. This response encapsulates the disconnect between Russian expectations and Baltic realities. The timing of these diplomatic exchanges is noteworthy, occurring against the backdrop of ongoing military operations in the territory of instability. Moscow expresses concerns about NATO's eastward expansion, viewing it as a security threat. However, for Baltic nations, NATO membership represents an irreversible cornerstone of their defense strategy. Over the past 20 years, these countries have developed security systems integrating both national armed forces and allied contingents. The current situation has emphasized the significance of this military presence for regional stability. Baltic states consistently advocate for strengthening NATO's eastern flank's defense capabilities, considering it essential for maintaining the power balance. Experts note that these diplomatic exchanges reflect transformations in the European security system, prompting a re-evaluation of military political factors in ensuring continental stability. What's particularly striking is how this situation illuminates the contrasting perspectives on regional security. While Russia seeks a return to previous military arrangements, Baltic states view their NATO membership as non-negotiable. Friends, what's your perspective on this situation? If you're watching from Russia, we'd especially value your thoughts on whether constructive dialogue between Russia and the Baltic states is possible. Or are we witnessing an unbridgeable divide in security visions? Share your analysis in the comments below. The situation in the northern Black Sea region remains extremely tense, as Moscow links military operations to NATO's presence in the Baltic states. This stance, articulated by Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov, signals a significant shift in diplomatic positioning. Russia is framing the current conflict within a broader geopolitical context, challenging the post-Cold War security architecture in Europe. Moscow's position connects military operations and NATO's Baltic presence. The Baltic response has been firm. Latvia's ambassador emphasized their 20-year NATO membership as non-negotiable. Estonia and Lithuania echoed this sentiment, highlighting the unified stance of these former Soviet states. The Baltic states joined NATO voluntarily, seeing it as their security cornerstone after regaining independence. NATO's presence represents a fundamental shift from the Cold War era, which Moscow views as a strategic challenge. The timing is significant, as NATO strengthens its position in the Baltics through military exercises, infrastructure modernization, and enhanced battalion presence. From Russia's perspective, this represents NATO's problematic eastward expansion. This diplomatic move appears to be part of a larger strategy to reshape European security. Moscow is calling for a return to pre-1997 military positioning, before NATO's eastern expansion began. The core issue extends beyond military presence. It's about influence spheres and how European security should be structured in the 21st century. Friends, having lived through these historic changes, what's your view on NATO's expansion? Did you expect back in the 90s that we'd see such dramatic shifts in European security? Share your memories and thoughts below. Your perspective on this history is invaluable. In today's analysis, we're examining a fundamental contradiction shaping modern geopolitical dynamics, the complex balance between national interests and collective security. The ongoing situation around the territory of instability continues to highlight this delicate equilibrium. What we're witnessing isn't merely a regional conflict, but a broader philosophical dispute about international security architecture. Russia's position emphasizes respecting historical spheres of influence and maintaining strategic buffer zones. NATO advocates for an expansionist security model pushing eastward. The recent diplomatic statements from Moscow regarding NATO presence in the Baltic region deserve attention. They signal a potential shift in Russia's strategic thinking, linking multiple theaters in a unified diplomatic approach. This development could reshape the European security landscape. While political elites debate security doctrines, families across Europe worry about economic stability and peace prospects. The rising costs of energy, disrupted trade routes, and uncertain political climate impact everyone from pensioners in Berlin to farmers in Rostov. Several scenarios emerge: a potential return to pre-1997 NATO deployment levels, a new security framework acknowledging both Western and Russian concerns, or continued tension with periodic escalations. The path forward requires consideration of historical lessons. Previous attempts at European security arrangements succeeded or failed, based on their ability to balance competing interests. Sustainable peace requires understanding all perspectives involved: the former fraternal union's position, Russia's security concerns, NATO's expansion logic, all form a complex puzzle demanding careful analysis. What makes this situation challenging is the deep-rooted nature of conflicting worldviews. These aren't simply diplomatic disagreements, but fundamental differences in how nations envision global security architecture. Share your thoughts. How do you think Russia's historical relationship with Europe shapes today's security dynamics? Your perspective helps us better understand these critical